the people that we were doing our operational tests for Operation Top Off in Dark Winter with Dr. Jay Reddington from the University of Colorado, Department of Infectious Disease at the VA, and the Center for Disease Control Director for the FBI, Director for Bioterrorism. And we were doing simulations. We did bioterrorism simulations at the Performing Arts Center in Denver, and also at the 17th Avenue. And at the Performing Arts Center, we did a simulation where we pretended there was a release of bubonic plague and tried to simulate if people would gather the correct information at the local hospitals to be able to back calculate out when the release was and who would have been gotten sick, and knowing how long the incubation period, who would survive. Well, we failed miserably on that, and in a test in anthrax, sprayed out of a second floor window on 17th Avenue. We also did a simulation in Boulder, the supercomputer there, a National Weather Service supercomputer there, and found that we pretended on the supercomputer we did a simulation of someone coming in from Cairo, Egypt, injected with weaponized smallpox. And our computers predicted that 93 countries and 93 million Americans would be infected in 90 days. That, of course, is a computer simulation. There's lots of parameters that that would confound that reality. But nevertheless, they've been doing all these simulations. Well, on March 1 of 2001, a couple years after this, I met again at a bioterrorism conference with Dr. Reddington, the FBI and CDC directors, and the FBI director leaned across the table at lunch, because we had a private lunch, because I was one of the inner circle, and said to me in no certain terms that there will be a Pearl Harbor event. Interesting, it's Pearl Harbor Day today, December 7th, 2006. And this event will, with a 95% probability, bring about martial law in America and a national ID with an implantable chip. And he said all of those things, and he repeated them 3 times so that it would sink in. And I asked him questions for the next hour and a half, and because he wouldn't tell me straight out exactly what simulations, because we talked about everything from jet aircraft going into buildings, to micro-nukes in cities, to bioterrorism release, to things in the water, to nano-weapons, to all kinds of things. And one of the scenarios that was one of the top 3 or 4 was jet aircraft going into World Trade Center towers. So when you hear Condoleezza Rice lying and saying that they never thought of it, they told me that there were actually simulations of jet aircraft planned to go in at that time, later that year, probably in September, into the WTC towers. So when I was driving my children, because I lived in South Denver, in Highlands Ranch, driving them to the charter school 1 mile from Columbine, I was enraged. And enraged isn't even a strong enough word to understand that they actually took those towers down, and I knew that they did it. Because I have advanced training in technology. I was supposed to go to nuclear physics at MIT, and I went into honors biochemistry and completed my PhD research project in 5 months at age 20. I didn't write my thesis because I went into medicine, so I'm not exactly stupid. And when these people did this, I knew that they had not only struck a dagger into the hearts of Americans, but they killed people in 82 nations. And this is the sentinel event of our century, not just in the physical realm, but in the spiritual realm, because we're actually approaching a thing called the Nexus, which I'm going to talk in my 4th talk about. When we have whistleblowers like Stephen Jones, with his thermate and his very solid science proving it, and Dr. Ward, who spoke on my radio show a few months ago, was a medical doctor who's retired about 9 years, who did a very recent analysis proving that there were micro-nukes in the building, cars and other vehicles that were melted on one side, not the other.